The Mossmorran Action Group started in, I think it was about 2017. And it was in local protest against the petrochemical plant that's operated by Shell and ExxonMobil.
Right.
Now, Mossmorran is the name of the complex, but it's actually two separate plants. Shell runs the Fife natural gas liquid plant, and ExxonMobil run the ethylene plant. And the ethylene plant is the one that's causing all the local issues for, well, the majority, 99% of the issues that arise for the locals is due to the practices by ExxonMobil at the ethylene plant. One of the needs for our group as well is everybody in Logelly, Kenbeath, Glenfinnans know what the issues are at Mossmorran. But they were routinely denied by the Scottish Government, by the UK Government, and also the local authority, Fife Council, and the representative groups like SEPA, NHS Fife. They would all deny there was an issue there. Some short-term impacts, when it's flaring, for instance, sleep disturbance, but if sleep's been disturbed constantly, that can have a long-term impact on the mental health, well-being individuals, especially if those suffering from autism and things like that, can create anxiety, poor educational attainments, but they're never ever looked at by the Scottish Government or NHS Fife. So we're wanting more in-depth research done to actually identify what is the impacts, rather than saying, oh, they look at it short term, you've had a disturbed sleep, once we're not flaring, there's no impact. For the longer term health impacts, is people are very concerned that they could be getting that's a lot of carcinogenics that's coming out of the plant. Is it causing cancer? And there's always stories about a high prevalence of cancer in the area, but also of quite rare cancers as well. Now, we have tried to look at the cancer issue, and we've done freedom of information to NHS Fife for cancer rates specifically for Logelly, specifically for Kenbeath, Glenfinnans, and then other communities that don't have that plant. And NHS Fife have always refused to give that data. So they do it as clusters, so they do it as a central Fife as a whole. But then at that point, the data's been watered down, it's minimised, and also then blame it on the deprivation of those local communities as well. But the environmental impact, several thousands of tonnes are being burnt off. The black smoke that comes off is then unburnt hydrocarbons. They claim that there's no, SEPA will claim there's no environmental impact, but how can you burn that much hydrocarbons without there being, and not have? Well, there's, I think it's the University of Stirling, one of your professors has done quite a lot on how these plants impact on local communities and things, and they've been pushing quite hard. They recently had coverage. They uncovered a report that came from China and how there was post-traumatic stress disorder that residents had felt around these plants. So they're looking into things like that, and I think we're going to make connection with that professor to see if we can help them that way. We're also going to push NHS Fife. They've done a health impact study, and Fife Council have agreed that they need to be doing more as well. So we'll continue our campaign pushing NHS Fife to do an actual proper robust study whereby during flaring events, NHS Fife should have a helpline set up where residents can complain directly to the health professionals what health impacts they're having, rather than going to an environmental regulator and then passing on second-hand information to NHS Fife. So that's kind of where we're at the moment, is trying to get this proper health study done into the plant. So then after that, depending on what comes out from that, we would then look to try and represent the communities in some way to make sure they get some kind of justice for what they've been put through.